Whenever I record, like later in the evening, it's just a little bit darker in here, which I suppose makes sense. But I have my light here, and I figured, do you think I need to change the bulb in this light? I'm not gonna lie to you. In what the 6, 7, however many years I've been doing this channel, I've never once changed the light bulb in that thing. Do you think that makes a difference? Anyways, you're not here to talk about lights. You're here to talk about Doves. That is the band that we are listening to. We're checking out the track Prisoners. This is coming off of the album The Universal Ones, their fifth studio album, which was released in 2020. We're checking this out. We're giving it a listen as it was suggested and sponsored by Kevin. So Kevin, thank you so much for the request. Thank you so much for sending this one over. I've never heard of the band Doves. Couldn't tell you a thing about them. And so what better way of introduction than to listen to them? So let me go ahead and pull up the track right now. We'll, of course, talk about it a little bit after. Prisoners. Here we go. Interesting effects in the back.
Give me your current state of mind. Oh, friend, it's been a while. We're just prisoners of this life. Just prisoners. We're just prisoners of this life.
I like those shimmering strings that come through.
Prisoners in dusty halls and to the hollow shopping malls, to the endless rows of English roses. If you gotta believe in someone, don't make that person me. If you gotta let go of something, then let go of me. And last night I dreamt I was sent to a place of innocence. Hello, old friend. We can't pretend we're not prisoners of this life. Just prisoners. We're just prisoners of this time.
I like that static feedback on the guitar. Little distortion. It's a really interesting solo. There's a lot of interesting effects in there.
Friend, it's been a while. It's me again. We're just prisoners of this time.
Very nice bass lines too. What a nice little cutoff. Okay, this is one of those bands that I feel, at least based off this song, right? I've never heard a thing from them. This is the first time I'm even hearing of the band. So what I get is almost this kind of alt rock kind of sound, which is such a generic term. It doesn't really describe anything. But what I mean is that you get, of course, I'm going to say, you get that alt rock sound, but you get those little things, those little nuances, and occasionally big nuances in this track that provide a different energy and inform the listener, tell me, hey, this band is different than the rest, but they can still throw down a catchy song at the same time. Incredibly high energy, great drumming from there. I love how we constantly get those snare fills in here. It's gonna be Andy Williams on the drums and percussion. And I like how also the production on this particular track is it's very, there's an electronic aspect in the production. Almost like you have an electronic producer or a producer that's used to working with, EDM, IDM, and different electronic genres, and is treading their handiwork into this kind of sound. And so there's a lot of little electronic flourishes that come through really nicely into the production and also come through really nicely with how the band themselves are playing. I think a huge standout in here is going to be Jess Williams, who's handling the guitars, backing vocals, synth, and some other things here and there. None of this particular track. But the way that the guitar was approached from even the beginning was really interesting. First of all, you have those very fast strumming patterns in the very beginning that are kind of pushed in the back of the sound. And when it comes to the room of the production, once again, there's a lot of layers that are happening in the background. There's a density in the back while also providing a lot of energy and action in the front. And I thought the guitars kind of captured both of that aspect and all of that, from the strumming in the background in the beginning to the solo, which has this really interesting crackle kind of feedback kind of sound to it at first. And then it's like it comes through the filter and it becomes cleaned up as we get into the second part of that solo, which still keeps a little bit of that kind of sound. There's a glitchiness to it, which I think is really interesting. And it sounds really cool within this track. It's one of those aspects that makes it more interesting to listen to. Another aspect of that would be Jimmy Goodwin, who is the lead vocalist, the bassist as well. And I like how strong the bass line was in here. It kind of has a sort of dancey rock kind of sound to it. Like this, I could absolutely hear being played on the radio. But his vocals themselves, really interesting as they don't... Well, I'm just speaking of what I thought. I don't think that the comparison I'm going to make... I'm not making this comparison when it comes to the actual vocals and the sound of his voice. But I'm making this comparison perhaps in some respect the delivery and the kind of intonation that he has. He reminds me a little bit of Tom Waits. Not in the growly kind of way. Not in that way. But in almost this, and I don't mean this disrespectful, almost this drunken storyteller. Almost this unreliable narrator who's seen some things, gone through some experiences, and telling you their story, but in a very attractive way. You can't help but listen to them tell their story, even though maybe all the facts aren't quite straight. But he has a really great emotion in his voice, and there's also a way that he sings in here in which it sounds like he's almost like spitting out what he's saying. Almost as if he's trying to speak through some sort of garble and such. Like he has a smoothness and a rich cadence to the way he flows and sings here, but it also sounds like there's a little bit of an inebriation to it, which I think it makes it a really interesting listen. There's a charm to it, there's a romanticism to it, but also there's a wonderful sloppiness to the way that he sings. And I really do mean that in the most respectful way. I don't mean that he's sloppy or anything like that. And I hope that comes through correctly and not in a rude way. And then you got the strings that come in through here as well, which I'm looking to see who's performing the strings. That's going to be Belinda Hammond and Hannah Gorky Young. That's just a really cool aspect as well. At first, how they come in shimmering in this very bright and shining way, and then like a flash, they're back out of there. And then at one point when they comes back into the second half of the track, staying there just a little bit more sustained in general. That's a cool track. It hits a lot of really cool places and goes into some interesting details in the corners of this track. When the day is done, it's just you and I. This is our last dance, one last fight. When there's blood on the stage, could you face your fears? It all ends here. The minutes, the hours, days, and years. This is the end of wherever we've been coming to. What did you want? Can you give me a sign? Or give me your current state of mind? Old friend, it's been a while. We're just prisoners of this life. We're both prisoners, perhaps chained to each other. We're just prisoners of this life. Although we won't be for long, we're just prisoners. Perhaps in the grand scheme of things, it's not a long life, but life it is. In dusty halls, into the hollow shopping malls, to the endless rows of English roses. If you gotta believe in someone, don't make that person me. If you gotta let go of something, then let go of me. Perhaps I think that's a very strong line, but it's also perhaps a vulnerable and being honest with himself and with this other person. You know, if you're going to believe in someone, if you're going to put your faith, your trust, and your loyalty to someone, it's best if it's not me. Just being upfront with you, telling you at this point. And if you got to let go of something, let go of me. And last night I dreamt I was sent to a place of innocence. Hello, old friend. We can't pretend we're not prisoners of this life. We can't pretend. We can't put blinders on us. It's me again. We're just prisoners of this time. It won't be for long. Won't be for long. We just got to wait out our sentence. And it says, in the beginning, when the day is done, it's just you and I. So perhaps in the symbolic day, they're surrounded by others. But at the end of the night, at the end of the day, it's just them. And perhaps there's an honesty and a revealing that takes place then. Because before that, it's almost like it's like let's just say it as an example. The day, we're using symbols here and metaphors, could be seen as a party. Maybe let's just say a couple invites friends and family to their house to have dinner and have a little bit of a party and such. And the house is happy. There's laughter. There's games. There's fun being had. But then, one by one, the guests begin to leave. And at the end of the day, it's just once again the couple to clean up the mess. So in a sense, this is their last dance. This is the last fight. And of course, kind of taking this more into a symbolic way, all that they're left with is each other. Well, in this particular case, it doesn't seem to be great. It says, we're just prisoners of this life. And, the whole don't believe in me. It's best not to. That's at least how I kind of read that. But how do you read it? Let me know down below in the comments down there. Hope that you enjoyed the music. As always, thank you so much for being here, Kevin. Thank you so much for sending over the request. I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Have a fantastic one. One day I will change that light, but it's still shining. It's still going. If I'm going to depend on one light, it's going to depend on that one. Bye, guys.